This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, welcome everybody to this meeting of the Montachusett Metropolitan Planning Organization. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is introductions. Brad, are you going to be calling the roll?
Sure, I can call it. Excuse me.
Great.
Derek Cravat, Mass DOT Secretary and CEO.
Yep, Derek Cravat here representing MassDOT Secretary and CEO Gina Fiandaca.
Ann Sullivan, MassDOT Highway.
Ann Sullivan, MassDOT District 3 Project Development Engineer, representing Jonathan Gulliver, MassDOT Highway Administrator.
Mark Pomerini, City of Leominster.
Hey, I'm Mark Primarini, Assistant Director of Public Works, City of Leominster.
Guy Corbacero, MRPC.
Guy Corbacero, MRPC Chair.
George Cahaley, Mart.
Present.
And Tim Kilhart from Subregion 3.
Present.
And that is the signatories here, unless I missed someone.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Great, thanks Brad, and welcome everybody. Next on the agenda is public comments. Is there anybody present that would like to make a public comment at this time? Okay, seeing none. If you do have a comment at any point during the meeting, feel free to unmute or use the chat box and go to meeting and we'll be sure to call on you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the April 19th, 2023 meeting minutes. So I'll ask for a motion and second to approve those minutes.
So moved, Guy Corbacero.
I second.
Great, thank you. So motion having been made and seconded. Any comments, questions, or suggestions on the minutes? Seeing none, go ahead and call the roll, Brad.
Okay. MassDOT Secretary and CEO Derek Cravat.
Yes.
MassDOT Highway Ann Sullivan.
Yes.
City of Leominster Mark Pomerini.
Yes.
MRPC Guy Corbacero.
Yes.
Mart George Cahaley.
Yes.
And Subregion 3 Tim Kilhart.
Yes.
So we have unanimous.
Okay, great, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the statewide long-range transportation plan. We don't have any major updates on that at this point. We have some material for this plan drafted at MassDOT that's currently being reviewed by our new leadership, new secretary's office here at MassDOT. So we're hoping to have some materials posted publicly in the next month or so, but we'll continue to keep folks posted on that as we go, but nothing else really to share. But any questions on that item? Okay, seeing none, we can move on to agenda item 5, which is the Montachusett Federal Fiscal Year 2023 to 2027 Transportation Improvement Program, draft tip amendment number 4 to transit elements. So I'll turn it over, I think, to Brian.
Actually, I have this
Brad
right now.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead, Brad. Yep.
Oh, excuse me. As you may recall, last month we voted to release a amendment to the TIP, the current 2023 to 2027 TIP, for what we're calling draft amendment number 4 to the transit element. The comment period began on Tuesday, April 25th, and it closed Monday, May 15th. What you see up on the board is the amendment that was put off for comment. It includes the removal of 1 project, cost changes to 6 additional projects, and the addition of 1 other project. The 1 new project is highlighted in green, the cost change is in red, and the removal is in red and the cost changes are in yellow. We did not receive any comments during the time frame, and we did also use the MJTC meeting last week, as an opportunity for public comment. There were none at that time, and as I mentioned, we did not receive any comments at all during the entire period. The MJTC reviewed the changes and they recommended, or they came to a consensus to recommend that the MPO approve and endorse TIP Amendment number 4 as presented. And that's really all I have, unless, George, if you have something you want to say on behalf of Mark.
No, I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brad. Any questions or comments on the amendment? All right, I'm not seeing any. So with that, I'll ask for a motion and second to endorse this amendment to the transit tip as presented.
So moved, Dan Sullivan?
Second, Guy Corbicero.
Okay, great. Motion having been made and seconded. Go ahead and call the roll, Brad.
Okay. MassDOT Secretary and CEO, Derek Cravath.
Yes.
MassDOT Highway, Ann Sullivan.
Yes.
City of Leominster, Mark Palmerini.
Yes.
MRPC Chair, Guy Corbicero.
Yes.
George Cahaley.
Yes.
And Subregion 3, Tim Kilhart.
Yes.
So we have unanimous, and it's approved.
Okay, excellent. So that carries then. Thank you, everybody. I think that's it for agenda item 5, right? So we're on to number 6.
Yes.
Which is the 2024 to 2028 Transportation Improvement Program. Turn it back over to staff to
Brian.
Brian. Yep.
Brian's
Okay.
assignment.
Okay, sounds good. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you. So the first handout here is just a notice to interested parties regarding both the 24 through 28 TIP and also the Unified Planning Work Program, which both went out to public comment after last month's MPO meeting. The comment period was from April 25th and closed a few days ago on Monday, May 15th. So what I'll do with the TIP is go over the comments that we've received during the comment period, and then we're looking for a motion to endorse. And also there are 2 additional certifications relating to the document that we can go over after that. So in your handouts, there was some initial comments that were received on the TIP from Mass DOT. However, we have some that came in on Monday, the last day of the comment period, that we'll also include. So let me just share a separate screen that has those comments, and these will all be in the appendix of the final version of the TIP. Okay, so here's what we'll include in the appendix. These are all the comments. As I mentioned, Mass DOT Office of Transportation Planning provided us with some detailed comments a few weeks ago. Those went out with the mailing, and I won't go over everything in detail, but basically what we did was categorize each of their comments under different categories. You can see under the blue headings, we have 5 different categories. The first being under what we labeled completeness. And these are basically pointing out suggestions, improvements in legibility in some tables, and pointing out some broken links and that sort of thing. So there are a number of edits we've made to the final document, and we fixed all of their suggestions. The second group is under narrative. These are updates to references and federal legislation that they've suggested and some funding sources. And we've done those updates, and those are included in the final. Under project listing, this mentions changes in different projects. Some projects had changes in funding category. Others, such as the Leominster Route 12 project, had a cost change. That particular update was actually made before we put the final draft out for public comment. So all of these suggestions from DOT we've made in the final document. Under performance measurement, they are suggesting adding additional information regarding performance measure 1, specifically in calendar year 2023, which we've made. And finally, under impact analysis, they're requesting additional information on greenhouse gas analysis, which we've added to the final document. So all those DOT suggestions and comments, we've rectified in the final product. Additionally, we had 2 comments, one from the general public and one from AIR. The first came from a resident of Lancaster, Deb Duramo, and you can see the comment is detailed here. I won't read the whole thing, but basically it's concerning developments under construction and plans in Lancaster, and specifically the effects that it will have on Route 2. Mentions project 608-832 relating to exit 34, which is an appendix project. It hasn't been assigned a year yet. It's an on-ramp to Route 2. She goes on to mention concerns on tractor trailer access and possible increased usage in that area. So our response is basically we want to let her know that we're aware of developments mentioned in the area. We mentioned that the project that she mentioned, 608-832 on exit 34, it's not funded due to lack of project readiness. So we're waiting for the design to progress. And also we go on to say that the TIP is a listing of only existing approved projects. So we couldn't consider anything else in the area because there's nothing approved as of yet, but we will be appropriately scoring these projects as they come on board, taking into consideration the developments in the area. We also plan on reaching out to the resident just to discuss a little bit further, but this will be included in the final appendix. And finally, we have our last comment. This is from Dan Van Schokwick, Director of Air Public Works Department. And this is regards to project 609-227, which is a road rehab on Route 2A and 111, which is right downtown Park Street and Main Street. Basically, he's giving an update on some of the developments that we can expect in the next year with this project. Currently, it's pre-25% design. It hasn't been signed a year yet. We're waiting for it to progress a little bit further. And he goes on to say that given the air project has the highest TEC scoring and is at the same design status as a program project in Athol, he believes that the air project is a great candidate to be programmed. And basically our response is we note the project support. We're certainly aware of community support of the project. We just rescored this project. It's been around for a few years, but in rescoring it with all the new information on the updated design, it did in fact, it's reached the highest TEC score among other projects, actually tied with Leominster Route 12. So after this year, it will be the highest one when Leominster is off the books. We say that it is important to note that project 609-277 is not interchangeable with the Athol project mentioned because the vastly different cost differences of the 2 projects and the need to be fiscally constrained. And this project will be monitored and reconsidered when developing future TIPs. So certainly next year, this is one of the projects that will be looking to move forward into a year. And certainly we know that the effort is being put forth by the town and the design is progressing. It's an excellent project. And so that's where it stands right now, currently in the appendix. So those are the comments that were received back during the comment period. If there's any questions on the comments, I can. Great,
thanks, Brian. Any questions for Brian on these comments? Okay, I'm not seeing any, Brian. So.
Okay, well, so we're looking for a motion to endorse what will be the final document, and we'll include these comments in it and the changes we made upon DOT recommendation as well.
I
Great.
move to endorse these projects, Guy Corbacero.
Second, Tim Gilhart, Harvard.
Okay, so motion having made and second, and just to clarify, guys, the motion is to endorse the 24 to 28 transportation improvement program as a whole. Yes.
So moved.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So motion having been made and seconded. I think you can call the roll, Brad.
Okay. Excuse me. MassDOT Secretary and CEO Derek Pravat.
Yes.
MassDOT Highway Ann Sullivan.
Yes.
City of Leominster Mark Palmerini.
Yes.
MRPC Chair Guy Corbacero.
Yes.
Mart George Cahaly.
yes,
Subregion 2, we've been joined by Representative Rosemary Meisner is from Subregion 2.
Yes.
And Subregion 3, Tim Kilhart. It looks like Tim might have lost his connection. But we still have 6 representatives for a quorum, and it is unanimous.
Okay. Thank you, Brian, and thanks, Brad. So yeah, if you go back to the agenda, are there items on here for the certifications as well?
Yes.
Yep. Go ahead, Brad.
Yes, I have, so in the handouts, there's also 2 additional certifications that regard the 24 through 28 tip, and we're looking for a motion to certify those, and I can go over those in detail. I'll just bring them up really fast.
Sounds good.
Oh, I move to certify Guy Corbacero.
I can
Thanks,
go
Guy.
over each individually. I'll just give me a minute to bring them up on the screen. These were included in the handouts, so they were available to view in detail beforehand, thankfully. So, okay. The first is a certification of the Montachusett Region MPO 3C transportation planning process, and it states, concurrent with the submittal of the proposed TIP to the Federal Highway Administration and Federal Transit Authority, the Montachusett Metropolitan Planning Organization certifies that its conduct of the Metropolitan Transportation Planning process complies with all applicable requirements, which are listed below, and that this process includes activities to support the development and implementation of long-range transportation plan and air quality conformity determination and the Unified Planning Work Program.
Great. Thanks, Brian. So Guy, do you want to restate your motion? I think you might be on mute, Guy.
There we go. I move to certify the Montachusett Regional MPO 3C transportation planning process.
I second it.
Okay, thank you both. So motion having been made and second. Are there any questions on this certification? All right, seeing none, go ahead and call the roll, Brad.
Sorry about that. MassDOT CEO Derek Pravat.
Yes.
MassDOT Highway Ann Sullivan.
Yes.
City of Leominster Mark Palmerini.
Yes.
MRPC Chair Guy Corbacero.
Yes.
Mart George Cahaly.
Yes,
And Subregion 2 Rosemary Meisner.
Yes.
And still looks like Tim is not back online yet. So, but we do have again 6 a quorum, and it was unanimous.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Next on the agenda is a similar certification. This one is for certifying that MPO staff have completed all the required Global Warming Solutions Act requirements, I believe.
Yep, and I'll go over
For
this
the GHG.
as
Yep.
well.
Go ahead, Brian. Yep.
And thankfully, these went out in the mailing, so I won't read it word for word, but as Derek mentioned, this has to do with the Global Warming Solutions Act requirements. And it states, this will certify that the federal fiscal year 2024 through 28 Transportation Improvement Program and Air Quality Conformity Determination for the 2020 through 2040 Long Range Transportation Plan for the Montachusett Metropolitan Planning Organization is in compliance with all applicable requirements in the state regulation, Global Warming Solutions Act requirements for the transportation sector, and the Massachusetts Department of Transportation.
Great. Thanks, Brian. So is there a motion and second to approve the Global Warming Solutions Act compliance for the tip?
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you, George.
Guy
Is there a second?
Corbusero, second.
Okay, motion having been made and seconded. Are there any questions on this one? GHG certification. Okay, seeing none, go ahead and call the roll, Brad.
MassDOT Secretary and CEO Derek Cravath,
Yes.
MassDOT Highway Ann Sullivan,
Yes.
City of Leominster Mark Pamrini,
Yes.
MRPC Chair Guy Corbusero,
Yes.
Mart George Cahaley,
Yes.
and Subregion 2 Rosemary Meisner.
Yes.
So that is official. It passes unanimously.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Next item on the agenda is the Montachusett Federal Fiscal Year 2024 Unified Planning Work Program. So I think I'll turn it over to Sherry to present this one.
Thank you very much. So much like the transportation improvement plan, we had our public comment period aligned with the TIP. So it ran from, as Brian mentioned, April 25th to May 15th. And we had received comments from both Mass DOT and Federal Highway, although Federal Highway came in right at the buzzer. So we did not have it in the handout, but it is now on the slide, I believe. So you should be able to see it. So we also had 4 comment categories, just similar to the TIP, but I know they had one additional. So for the categories, we had under completeness, there were some minor edits to be made, such as there was one broken link that we had fixed. The legend, we needed to improve on some quality of the picture quality, and then we had to update the PM1 figures, which we have done and inserted it back into the document. We did use the accessibility checker for the Word document, but not for the PDF. So we had to review that one last time and make corrections as necessary. And then also on our website, we had it listed for our MPO Mart chairperson as the Leominster mayor, when in fact it's the Gardner mayor. So that has been improved and updated on the website, but it was correct in the document. And then the next comment category was UPWP tasks. And there was a reference saying that they were looking for us to expand on performance-based planning work opportunities to any relevant tasks. And then also to expand on utilization of previous work or limiting previous work to the last 5 years, which we have updated. The other 2 comment categories, narrative and impact analysis, there were no comments at that time. So for Federal Highway, they were pretty straightforward for tasks 3.1, and I'm going to skip down to 3.5 because they were pretty much the same comment. Was that, you know, these 2 tasks we have continued to the following year so that we can add more information into them and further build them out. And we didn't really state what we were going to do this year versus next year, so they were just trying to get more clarification on that, which we have updated to be more clear. And then also there's a general comment under the North County Land Trust Trail Planning and Mapping Tasks 3.3, saying that it sounded like it was a potential for a complete streets budget application here, depending on the type of trail connections that we would analyze, I suppose. So that we could add that little comment in that task, but there's not much else that needs to be changed for that. So they were, I felt the tasks and the comments were great and straightforward. And really, again, we always appreciate how MassDOT does it with their categories, and it's straightforward and easy to follow. We very much appreciate that. Does anyone else have any questions or comments on the tasks that we received? All right, we're just looking for the motion to
Okay.
approve the final document.
Thank you, Sherry. Yeah, so with that, I'll ask for a motion and second to endorse the fiscal year 2024 Unified Planning Work Program.
I make a motion to be approved.
Thank you, George. Is there a second?
Ann Sullivan?
Okay, excellent. So motion having been made and seconded, are there any comments or questions on the UPWP? Seeing none, go ahead and call the roll, Brad.
MassDOT Secretary and CEO Derek Pravat,
Yes.
MassDOT Highway Ann Sullivan,
Yes.
City of Leominster Mark Pamarini,
Yes.
MRPC Chair Guy Corbacero,
Yes.
Mart George Cahaley,
Yes,
Subregion 2 Rosemary Meisner,
Yes.
and Subregion 3 Tim Kilhart.
Yes.
And that is our signatories, and it passes unanimously.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, everybody. Next on the agenda is the Montachusett Regional Transportation Plan. So I think I'll turn it over to Brad for this one.
Actually, it's going to go to Brian.
Brian, okay. Yep, go ahead, Brian.
Yep, thank you. So just an update on what's going on with the RTP. Back in February, we discussed some proposed changes to the goals, objectives, and strategies. We went over those with the MPO and the JTC, and we've gotten some additional feedback on those, and we're suggesting some additions to the final version of that, and I'll go over those. So specifically, this is in regards to heavy freight vehicles. We got some comments back from the Shirley Traffic Advisory Committee. We met with some members of the committee about some concerns in town regarding developments. Actually, some of the same developments that were mentioned in the Lancaster comment and the tip. There's some worry that some increased heavy vehicle traffic and freight traffic in the area will cause some issues, specifically on some local roads. And we discussed some additional issues in the town on local roads with heavy vehicles and some of the issues that they see coming forward in the future. So they're suggesting that we add some reference to this in our goals, objectives, and strategies, and we totally agree. And since it's a long-range plan, it's looking out to 2050. It's certainly appropriate to foresee this as a problem or an issue that we could focus on in the coming years as development increases in some of our communities. So what you see on the handout is our updated February 2023 goals, objectives, and strategies on the left-hand column, and our suggested additions on the right-hand column, and those are highlighted in green. So the first suggestion is under goal 1, which is to improve and maintain safety and security. We're suggesting an objective to promote, sorry, I can't see it very well, to promote traffic calming and safety measures where appropriate for all modes, and 2 strategies under that objective. First, to offer truck exclusions, studies, and advice for communities in the region where appropriate, and also to consider specific improvements encouraging safe use of local roadways by heavy vehicles. There are some minor additions as well. We just want to add in reference to heavy vehicles under some existing strategies where we already mentioned freight, so we do that at a number of locations. Those are highlighted in green as well. And finally, under goal 5, which is to improve economic vitality, again, some additions to heavy vehicle references, and also an additional strategy, which is to assist communities in identifying preferred freight traffic routing. So these are our sort of final edits to the goals, objectives, and strategies. We've received some great input from members of the JTC and also the MPO over the last few months, so thank you for that. So this is what we'll be going with going forward. just so you're all aware. And other RTP related items, so we're getting down to the wire. We plan on having a full draft ready to go out to public comment. We'll discuss that at the MPO meeting in June on the 21st. We'll make sure we have a full draft version to go out in the mailing on June 14th, 1 week before the MPO meeting, so members can view what's in the document before we vote to send it up for public comment. Also, if you go to our website, mrpc.org, let's see, if you go to the left-hand column here, we have the Journey to 2050. That's the title of our plan. If you click on that, there's some items related to the plan. In this, you can see draft documents and data. And although it's not out for public comment yet, just this is more for MPO members to get an idea of sort of what's available now to start reviewing some of the materials. We have the goals, objectives, and strategies in here, along with some information on infrastructure, performance measures, and scenario planning. So in the coming weeks, we'll be adding a little bit more information just for your review. Again, it's not out for public comment or anything like that, just so you have some idea of what's going into the document. So that's all I have on the RTP. Expect to see a full draft version go out in the mailing next month. We'll be looking for an endorsement ultimately in July with public comment period. We'll be looking on releasing that for public comment late June into early July.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Any questions for Brian on the long-range transportation plan? All right. Seeing none. Anything else on that, Brian, or are you good? Or Brad?
No, that's all I have.
All set. Okay, great. Okay, sounds good. With that, then we can move on to updates. So first on there is MassDOT Highway Division. Go, I guess, District 3 first.
Yep. The first project is Westminster, project number 607432, rehab and box widening of Route 140 from Patricia Road to Princeton Town Line. It's currently at PS&E, and it has an August add date, August 12th. Gardner roundabout construction at Elm Street, Pearl Street, Central Street, and Green Street. That is project number 609279. That's also at PS&E and has a May date, May 6th add date. Harvard Bridge Preservation, it's 3 bridges, Route 2 bridges over Nashville River, Tank Road, and the Boston and Maine Railroad, 3 separate bridges, 612620. That is at 100%, and the add date is June 10th. Fitchburg Route 2 resurfacing, 610731. That was advertised in February. It's been awarded to J.H. Lynch, and the NTP was issued in late March. Ashby intersection improvements at Route 31 and Turnpike Road, 609314. That was advertised last fiscal year. It moved into last fiscal year, and the NTP was issued to ET&L in last October. The Gardner Safe Routes to School project, Elm Street, resurfacing and sidewalk improvements, 61062672. That's at 100%, and the add date is June 24th of this year. And there are a couple of District 2 projects. I believe Daryl is here and probably can give those updates.
Awesome. Thanks, Ann. Any questions for Ann? All right, seeing none. Go ahead, Daryl, for District 2.
Okay, good afternoon. So for District 2 and FY23, we have project 608784. This project was advertised in February. Bid opening was in March 21st. It was awarded on April 5th, and the notice to proceed was just issued on April 25th to AF Amarello and Sons with a low bid of $2.25 million. Next, we have an FY24 is a non-target project 608723. This is Athol intersection improvements at Crescent Street and Chestnut Hill Ave. The design is at 100%. The 100% was submitted. Review comments were completed on March 1st, and the PS&E is due December 6th this year. Current add date is February 17th, 2024. Next, we have project in 25. We have project 612151. This is Athol Bridge replacement, Route 2A, Main Street over B&M Railroad. The design is at pre-25. Over the shoulder review is anticipated in July of this year, July 12th, and the 25% design is due January 7th. Current add date is December 7th, 2024. And that's all I have for right now.
Great, thanks, Daryl. Any questions for Daryl? All right, seeing none, we can move on to the transit update. Is this you, George?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I don't have any new update at this time.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, George. We can move on then to the Montachusett Joint Transportation Committee. Is this you, Brad?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
The MJTC met last week, and we reviewed the draft documents as we discussed earlier. The next MJTC meeting will be Wednesday, June 14th at 2:30 p.m. And at that time, we'll be reviewing the draft RTP and making a recommendation to the MPO whether to release for public comment or not. Now I have a number of handouts and flyers and notices that we received, making available to everybody. Please note that the majority or most of these notices are also on our website under announcements. So if you want to follow up with them, you can go to our website. They are also available in the online drive for today's meeting. The first is from MassDOT. It's on the Northern Tier Passenger Rail Study, their newsletter for April 29th. Just updating people on the next step in the study process. As part of the analysis of the 4 additional service alternatives that they're looking at, they'll develop schedule times and trip times for these various scenarios. Then the team will develop ridership levels and estimates of cost to design and build the infrastructure for each of these scenarios. The second announcement I have is from MassDOT regarding a public information meeting on Tuesday, May 23rd at 6 p.m. The purpose is to provide an informational meeting on the project so that people become fully acquainted with the bridge replacement project of Bridge H24003 located on Williamsville Road near over Burnshirt River in Hubbardston, Mass. Registration links are available on this flyer. Next is another announcement from MassDOT regarding a new round of funding for fiscal year 2024 under the Industrial Rail Access Program, or IRAP. Effective May 1st until 5 p.m. on Thursday, June 1st, the program is accepting applications from freight rail supported businesses across the state for projects to expand or improve rail or freight access and which will support economic opportunity, safety, and job growth. It's a competitive state-funded public-private partnership program. Applicants must match at least 40% of the project's total cost. For further information, please go to the MassDOT link on that's provided on this handout. And again, this is also on our website. Next is another notice regarding the FY 2024 Community Transit Grant Program. They are now accepting applications for operating and mobility management projects that expand mobility for older adults and people with disabilities. Those interested in applying are asked to request application forms and application training from MassDOT from Rachel Fitchenbaum. Her email is listed on this handout. Applications are due June 23rd, and applications for wheelchair accessible vehicles will open later this year. So again, if you're interested, please see our website. Next is from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, announcing the 2023 Clean Bus Grant Program. The U.S. EPA anticipates awarding approximately $400 million in competitive grant funding to eligible applicants nationwide to procure electric school buses and charging infrastructure. These grants are made possible as part of the bipartisan infrastructure law. US EPA is prioritizing applications that will replace buses serving high-need local education agencies. Eligible applicants for this opportunity are state and local government entities that provide bus service, public charter school districts, tribal school districts, nonprofit school transportation associations, and eligible contractors. So a webinar was held on May 10th regarding this program, but I'm sure if you go to EPA's Clean School Bus Program website, there may be a recording available for you to see, and also to get further information on this program. And again, applications are due by August 22nd of this year. Then we have a announcement of a webinar from Federal Highway Administration on identifying discretionary grant opportunities. That'll be held on May 22nd at 4 p.m. People need to register to attend this webinar. The webinar will discuss rural opportunities to use transportation for economic success, or ROOTS as they call it. The webinar will showcase the new US DOT discretionary grants dashboard, a tool that seeks to make it easier to search for and find grant opportunities depending upon the type of project, type of organization applying, match requirements, and so forth. So the link is again provided on the handout to register for this and to see the information. Then a couple of handouts that came in just within the last couple of days. The first is a copy of an email that we sent out to communities back on May 10th and again yesterday, May 16th, with an update. This one is announcing the availability of free signage from Mass DOT for communities to put up regarding the traffic safety act to reduce. This was based upon an act to reduce fatalities. This is a new sign for passing vulnerable users on a roadway, indicating the motorist should give at least 4 feet to bicyclists and pedestrians. So Mass DOT is making this available. With this email, there was a memorandum of agreement that went with it. The reason for the second send out on yesterday was that agreement was finalized and it was included as part of that second email. So if you're interested, please take a look and contact Mass DOT. They have a quick turnaround on this by the end of the month, so please don't hesitate and call Mass DOT and look in on this to see if you want to receive some free signage from them. And the last handout is something we just received the other day or yesterday. This is on the upcoming FY24 to 28 Capital Investment Program, or CIP. This is presented every year by Mass DOT at a number of public hearings. This is a draft flyer for this. Tentatively right now, we're looking at a meeting to cover Central Mass, which includes Worcester and us, on June 5th, 2023 at 6 p.m. It should be finalized later today on the dates, but this flyer will give you an idea to basically save the date and where you can go to register and join in on the public meetings. So this one just came in, and we'll also follow up with some information on this. This will occur before the next MPO meeting, but if you're interested, please, again, take a look on our website. We'll be posting the final flyer within the next day or two, as they're meeting, I think, today or tomorrow to finalize all the arrangements on this. And that is all that I have on terms of announcements.
Brad, if you don't mind, I have one more that I forgot all about. But tomorrow night, there's a regional transportation workshop being held at Quabbin Regional High School. It's involving Central Mass Regional Planning. They're the lead on the project, and MRPC and Shannon 9, the Community Health Network, is also involved. We are kind of studying where people want to go, or what the transit options look like in those smaller communities and how we can improve them. So that meeting, like I said, tomorrow night at Quabbin High, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. in person. And we'll be collecting some information from the people who attend to see if we can help improve some transportation options out there.
Any questions?
Yeah. Not seeing any. But thanks, Brad and Sherry. A lot of great information. All right, next on the agenda is the Montachusett Regional Planning Commission. Turn it over to Guy.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. We, the MRPC, have advertised 3 positions, which are principal planner in transportation. That's a full-time position. Also, principal planner in planning and development, another full-time position, and an intern position, which is part-time. If you want any information on these, please go to the MRPC website, mrpc.org, for more information. And that's the extent of my information.
Great, thank you, Guy. Any questions for Guy? All right. We'll move on to the next item then, which is administrative matters. When's the next MPO meeting date, Brad?
That will be Wednesday, June 21st at 1 p.m.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Is there any other business to come before the MPO? All right, not seeing any. So with that, I'll ask for a motion and second to adjourn.
Move to adjourn, Guy Corbisiero.
I second.
Great, I think without objection, we are adjourned. So thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you back here in June.
Yeah,
All right,
Thank you very much.
bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.